There he is. All right.
Brett, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, Kenny. It's just that's what I'm glad you were the first guest, the inaugural guest of the show.
Woo
Besides,
woo! Thank
woohoo!
you for that offering. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. You got a beverage?
I do have a beverage.
What are you drinking today?
I'm drinking some lemonade right now.
Well, that's good. That's perfect. That's perfect. In a Miami Hurricane glass. I like it. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, cheers to you, Kenny.
Oh, and you as well, Brett.
Cheers to health and happiness.
I agree. You and your family as well.
Thank you. So, how have you been coping with the COVID-19?
Um, Pretty good. Pretty good. I think we're doing pretty good. I mean, other than maybe running out of some grocery items and things like that, working from home, um, trying to normalize it as much as possible and stay healthy, stay out of harm's way. So, isolate ourselves from others, just kind of try to stay healthy.
Well, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. We're blessed if we're healthy, and it's that's the key thing. So it's that's the big thing. Just trying to stay out of people's way and just be kind is what I say.
Right. Your
And
health is your wealth.
this new world, we're correct. Health is your wealth. So without further ado, I'm going to ask you a few questions. All right, and you can tell everybody. There's a lot of people that are fans. A lot of people that probably weren't even born in 1983. So
All
your
right.
name?
Hello, everybody. Ken Calhoun out here. Pleasure to be on the show and talking to you.
Awesome. Now, where are you living about right now? Central Florida, you said?
Central Florida. I'm in Winter Haven.
All right, cool. The Red Sox still play there?
No, not anymore.
All right. So it's but Winter Haven is a pretty busy place, or not really?
It's just moderate, not Orlando, not Tampa, but in the middle and just pretty much temperate the same.
All right. Well, that's cool. And I know you get a Lakeland sometimes around that Lakeland. See,
Oh yeah.
one special Dolphin Derek.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw him this morning actually.
All right.
At his place of work.
All right. Well, there you go. So Kenny, you when you grew up, were you playing sports then, or what was your
Yeah,
favorite sport?
it was football. That was the first sport I was introduced to, and then I played baseball and love basketball as well.
hmm So you played all sports through high school, or in high school did you only play football?
Football and basketball.
All right.
Ran a little track.
Were you fast?
Yeah, I was fast.
Do you remember what you ran in those days?
4.63.
4.6, right? What do you run today?
Right. I had to time myself. I'd probably double that.
Yeah, it gets tough when we get a little older, right? That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
So, see, where'd you go to high school?
CanesWear astronaut on the East Coast. We had a really good athletic program there. Chris Collinsworth attended that school. Wilbur Marshall, I played with Wilbur there,
Nice.
and a host of other, great athletes and students and teachers. So on the East Coast, CanesWear astronaut, AHS, War Eagles.
All right, cool stuff. So it's and you played what position?
And in high school, I played tight end and outside linebacker.
Tight end and outside linebacker. All right.
Right.
So you're 4'6'3". What was your height and weight in those days?
6'1", 6'2", 185 as a senior.
All right, cool stuff. So in those days it was a little different. You went to you played. What year did you graduate high school?
81.
81. Okay, so actually we graduated high school at the same time.
All right, man.
All right, but 81. I went to
Let's
Miami-Dade
go.
stuff. Absolutely. So,
Okay.
so in 19, those days, how many people? I mean, how was it? Was it was a little different, the whole recruiting process, correct?
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Yes.
Right.
So how would you describe the recruiting process then versus now?
Well, comparing the two, from one time to the other, on a scale ranking 1 to 10, I would say it's maybe like a 2 as far as the attention and all the focus, that's on the athlete. So with, nowadays they have the videos, they can send them out ahead of time. So pretty much back then it was like snail mail or word of mouth. You got letters from schools and with people interested in your talents. You complete the questionnaire, you send it in, and you wait and hope that, they're watching.
So yeah, so you basically just it was a hit or miss in those days. You weren't totally different. They didn't have rivals. They didn't have 24/7. They didn't have any of that.
No,
it was
hurry up and wait. You knew scouts were at the game, not necessarily for you, which is not a bad thing. So they could be there for others, and you have a phenomenal game, and you get noticed. So that puts you on the map.
Absolutely. So how many schools recruited you?
Recruited me, Florida State, in Miami. I'll say that.
So Florida State, and Miami. All right.
Right.
And what made you decide to go to Miami?
Well, late in the recruiting process, Miami came on strong, and the others kind of tapered off. And had a conversation with my coach, Jay Donnelly, my high school coach, and I told him, what was happening, and I asked him for his advice, and he said, go ahead and take that scholarship, that letter of intent for the University of Miami. And I did. Ironically, his wife, Judy Donnelly, she attended and graduated from the University of Miami. So, that was fun, living the college life with them.
Well, that's awesome. So it's at that time when you were going to high school, who was the best team in the state?
The best team? Oh, University of Miami.
I mean, before you came.
Yeah,
Miami was the best?
Yeah, they were winning.
All right.
Actually, the year before, I went to the game. We beat Florida like 31 to whatever, and they threw oranges at us on the field. I was at that game. So we smashed them. Howard kicked the late field goal.
Awesome.
At that game. Yeah, and we beat Florida State as well,
Oh, that the game Danny Miller kicked that long field goal?
That wasn't that game. Danny kicked the long one against Florida State. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, but I was talking at Florida Field when we just, as a result of them throwing oranges, we kicked the late field goal. We were already won the game.
Already won that game. Yeah, I used to vend in the Orange Bowl in the late '70s, selling the sodas and things like that. So see a lot of great games over there. Do you remember who was your recruiters? I mean, do you remember anyone in particular that kind of, besides what you mentioned, anyone on the coaching staff that really turned you around and said, I want to go to Miami?
Well, Coach Tom Olivadotti, he was our defensive coordinator. He did the for what I saw. I don't know who was out there that I didn't see, but I saw Coach Olivadotti, and he did a fantastic job. And I don't know how many visits, and I don't want to just throw out a number because it may offend. So, and then Howard came and we signed the letter of intent at my coach's house, and that went really well.
So that was the first time you met Howard, Coach Schnellenberger?
It was.
So what did you think? Did he come in with the pipe?
I can't remember the pipe, but we were at my coach's home, so I would think he probably brought it but wasn't smoking it, And I thought he was kind of different. Hadn't seen his type, but the main thing is to play football and at a high level. And I really wasn't that familiar with the University of Miami because where I was situated is pretty much Gators, Florida State, and you didn't get that state of Miami didn't too much cross into Titusville. It was right at the bottom, north tip of it.
So a lot of people, most of the kids that you played with probably went to Florida, right? Florida State.
A lot of them.
All right.
Yeah, Donnie Whiting, Wilbur, Chris, and a host more.
That team did you play on the same team with Wilbur and Chris?
Well, with Wilbur, I didn't play with Chris. Wilbur's just a couple of years old, but I played with Wilbur. My brother played with Chris. He played receiver.
All right. There's there's so many great Canes in the NFL that Hall of Famers. The Gators don't have too many, but Wilbur Marshall is one of them. He was probably one of the greatest Gators to ever play.
He is, but he's not in the Hall of Fame yet in the NFL.
He's not in there? All right.
Not yet. He was a beast, man. In high school, he was All-American several years. in two sports. You know, he kicked field goals, linebacker, tight end. He was a special guy.
No, yeah. So that is one guy that had a great career. So you picked Miami, Howard, and then so take me through that. So you went ahead and started as a freshman, correct?
Actually, no. I was second team as a freshman behind David Jefferson.
I mean, but you came in as a freshman, right? So you came in as a freshman, and you were second team behind who?
David Jefferson.
David Jefferson. All right.
Yeah. He was 6'2", 225, a really good defensive end. He played safety. He played with Philly for a while. So, you know, I was on the special teams. I was on all the special teams, and, you know, I got to play in a couple games. The first game as a freshman I truly remember was North Carolina State at North Carolina State. And the game when I got out there was really, really fast. So it took me several plays just to get up to speed with what was on the field. So that was really surprising to me from practice to game time situation.
So and you feel that was a big adjustment from high school to college?
Oh, yeah. Oh, it was a major adjustment.
So that's pretty much, so you felt that probably most athletes are like that now too. It's when every time they go up a different league, it's a lot faster.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you got there in '81, who were some of the best players on the team that you looked up to?
Well, shoot, we had Jim Kelly. We had Fred Marion, who was an All-American.
I love Fred, absolutely.
Wow. Who else was it? You know, Tony Chickalo, Jay Brophy, Rodney Bellinger, Ronnie Lippett, Jamie Boone. You know, we're talking the secondary. Lester Williams, you know, who was a phenomenal talent at defensive line. So, you know, those players, you know, come to mind right away.
No, absolutely. So now O.J. Anderson left, what, a year or two before that? A couple of years before that?
Yeah, a couple of years before that.
All right.
I actually stayed in 36Z with, you know, he stayed there as well while he was there.
Oh, did he?
Right.
All right, cool. Yeah, I remember Freddie Marion back in, I don't know, was he, what, 30 or 31? I remember that.
That's 31. You got him.
31. He was awesome. But
yeah.
So you started off in the Jim Kelly. Your first year was what? So 81 or 82 was your first year?
81.
81. How'd the Canes do that year? You remember?
I think we did not. We went 9-2, but we went on probation. We were 9-2. We lost to Mississippi State. We scored a touchdown to win. They called it back, and we lost to number 2 Texas at Texas. We scored to win a touchdown, and they called that back as well. So we were 9-2 that year, and we didn't go to a bowl because of, you know.
Since that was 8, you didn't go to the bowl. So when was the Peach Bowl then? Wasn't the Peach Bowl?
That was the year before.
That was the year before the Peach Bowl. All right. So that's 82. You're 9-2. You're in probation. The team is feeling probably that it was obviously a very short-term probation, only 1 year, right?
Right. We shouldn't have even been on probation. You know, minor infraction. So we're moving into 1983. Obviously, it's a special year. You have the off season. Is everybody feeling like this team is really good? Did anyone have any kind of thought of how good this team could really be? Well, of course. You know, we felt we really had, you know, the tools, the players, the offense, the defense, the coaches, and we had a schedule that would allow us to put ourselves in a position to win a championship.
So you were ready.
Yeah, we wasn't ready. We had to get seasoned, so we got ready.
So Jim Kelly had just graduated, right?
Well, I believe a couple of years.
No, he graduated a couple of years. So the quarterback before that was probably what? Coach Rick, and Mike Rodriguez. But the quarterback
before Jim?
Yeah, after Jim.
Yeah,
before
no, actually, after Jim, it was Bernie. You know.
No, well, Bernie was 1983, right?
Yeah, so it must have been 2 years with Kelly.
All right, so nobody knew Bernie. Were you close to Bernie at all? I know defense, offense. Did you know him pretty well, or not really?
Not so much in college, but you know, I've grown to know him. You know what I'm saying? As a player, you know, we grew as teammates and brothers.
Awesome. So that first game we played the Gators, right? In 1980.
Correct.
You remember that game?
Oh yeah.
They kind of shellacked us. And I remember looking at it and then thinking like, wow, the Canes are supposed to be really good this year. This is supposed to be good. How did we just get beat so bad? And pretty much
Yeah.
everybody like put the Canes off to the side. Nobody's thinking of them. And then you started winning
Right.
game after game. Were there any other games that in that run of 10 straight games, besides going to the national championship, that stand out in your memory?
Oh, absolutely. Florida State, that was the last game. We won 17-16. We had a late fourth quarter drive. Keith Griffin made a magnificent run, breaking ankles right down the middle. To put us in position for Jeff Smith to kick the winning go-ahead field goal. And but even before that game, we played East Carolina, and they had Terry Long, they had Ernest Biner. They really had some good talent. The scouting report said everyone on their offensive team ran below a 4.8.
Wow.
Yeah, so they lost 3 games that year, and I believe it was to the Florida schools, but they really had a good team. So we beat them by like 12-9. I can't remember the score, but it was a really good game. I had a good game. I stopped like a 4th or a 3rd and 2, and that was significant because they tried a field goal and they didn't get the field goal. So that was a heck of a stop by the defense, and I had a part in it.
Awesome. So the East Carolina game, you've got the FSU game. So those are 2 difficult games that you remember that stand out that could have derailed the championship.
Correct.
Now, so going into so now you're going to play Nebraska. We find out there's no playoffs in 1983. For those who don't know, there's no playoffs. There's no seeding or anything like that. Nebraska is considered the best team of all time at that time.
Absolutely.
They had unbelievable players. So did you guys? What is Coach Schnellenberger saying going and getting you prepared for that game?
Well, he pretty much said what he said all year long. We're ready to play. We should be here, and we got a chance to win. We have a chance to make history. So pretty much just do what you've been doing. We've gotten to a point. Well, actually, we played everybody in the country anyway because of our schedule. We were independent. So, Nebraska was just another good team outside, a conference. So that they're in. So we felt real good about it. We really did. We had a really good defense, and we had a offense that really hadn't been put on the collegiate radar at that time, that pro-style offense that Coach Schnellenberger brought with him from the Dolphins. So we felt we were positioned well to win.
Yeah, that offense was obviously very strong. Most teams, Nebraska did not see that often.
Right.
So you've got a few weeks to play that game. You come to the Orange Bowl. How do you feel that you step onto the field? Do you feel a different energy of the fans that day than a regular game?
Absolutely. The electric that you felt in the Orange Bowl, it was so incredible. You can really feed off, the fans, how energetic they were, but it just didn't start at the Orange Bowl. It was that way the whole year. So it was a constant, feeding of the fans and the energy, the connect. It was a connection. The city of Miami, the fans, the players, the students, everyone really just connected, and you could feel that.
That's awesome. So you go on there. I think what were the Canes? 17-point underdogs? It was huge.
Correct. Cinderella. So
you get out there, you strike quickly. Bernie and the team brings you up 14-0 right away. I mean, you got to be thinking something special because obviously, no matter how much you thought about that game, you couldn't have thought we're just going to whack this team be up 14-0.
So we did think that.
You did think that. So you thought you were going to come out and just knock them. They were not going to know what hit them.
Exactly. So Howard was going to throw the ball on first down every play until they stopped it, and they didn't stop it. So we continued to do that, and that produced the results that it did. But by design, that's what we wanted to do to win the ball game. We had to be ahead of Nebraska late in the game because they're a running team. They don't throw the ball that much. If they did throw the ball, 75% of the time it was going to Urban Fryer. So it kind of made our job a little easier, stop the run. They're not going to pass that much, and if they do, they go into, the first player picked in that draft.
So that was Fryer. They had Fryer. They had, who was it? Mike Rozier was the running back, their big beast.
Heisman Trophy winner.
And then they had the quarterback.
Dean Steinkooler.
The Dean Steinkooler, the
Outland Trophy
guy.
winner.
They had every award. You're right. So they had every award there. So yeah. So Dean, I remember that name all the time, Dean. So there was something in I think the 30 for 30, the ESPN documentary. I'm sure you've seen it once or twice. So something in there that Coach Schnellenberger said, if they have to, or somebody said, if they have to do that fumble Ruski, they're in trouble.
Yeah, Coach Schnellenberger.
So,
exactly.
So did they go over that play beforehand and say, obviously in the preparation?
No, we missed it. I don't recall us, training for that play. No, we didn't practice that. So that was one on us.
All right. So you said you just think they won't do that in this big game. So you guys You guys start off 14-0. They come back real quickly. You guys take the lead. It's going back and forth in that game. I mean, do the teammates talk in that game about, like, on the sideline? Is there chatter about when you guys are up 28-14 that you didn't think about national championship that time, probably, right? You just think, okay, we're just going to win the bowl game and beat this team. Did anyone think you could win the national championship that year?
Not at that time. It was Auburn who won, who was undefeated. They were number 3. And you had a couple teams above them lose, and Illinois below them lose. So no, we didn't think at that point. We understood who we were playing, and the game wasn't over. So it was never any thought of winning the game in the national championship at that point for me.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, nobody really thought it. We just popped. Just like squeezed through like a watermelon seed or whatever, just went right to the front. So as Rick Weaver used to say for the Dolphins. So, so you're coming down there. The game then is we're up in the game. Nebraska's driving. Obviously, was there anything in that game before the final drive? Okay, was there anything in there that you remember most about that game?
Well, yeah, I remember a play on a blitz. We blitzed not that often, but when we did, it was pretty effective. So I remember going on a lightning stunt, and engaging Dean Steinkooler and winning the engagement, pushing them back into Turner Gill, forcing him to throw the ball, and it was incomplete. So I felt really good about that, me coming on a blitz and running this guy into the quarterback, So I guess he wasn't ready for it, and I was like all out, and that stood out.
That's it. So you remember that play big time?
Yes, I do.
Absolutely. Good job. Good job. Every play matters for sure.
Right.
That's unusual, right?
That was an incomplete pass.
Well, there you go. So it's coming down to the end. It's dark out in the stadium. You're in the end. They're coming down for the drive. What are you thinking when they're on that drive? To obviously trying to go for the tie. You guys are up a full touchdown. What are you thinking on that drive?
How about stopping them, Brett?
Yes.
Stopping them. It's easier said than done.
Absolutely.
Truly, they really had a good squad. It was a good team.
They were talented.
They ran the ball well. They ran the ball better than anyone in the country. And, you just have to stop them. You just have to get in there and grind with them. It's not easy, but someone has to make a play. And, you can only hold them, I guess, so long, with the type of offense and the beating that they put on you. So we withstood and had the lead, and that's where we wanted to be. So we was in a position where we wanted to be. All we had to do was stop them.
Mm-hmm. All right, but so they drive. We didn't stop them, which happens all the time. And again, it's every battle has to be won. They win that last battle, but there's the final score that still needs to be determined. So they tied the game. Do you remember the play that they tied the game, or didn't tie the game? Remember the play they scored to go down by 1?
Correct. I
Or
do
go down
remember
by
that
2,
play.
I'm sorry. 1,
Yes,
I'm sorry.
1. Right. Yeah, I remember
Remember?
that play. I think it was a 4th and 8, and it was a sweep. And Turner Gill faked, got dropped, and he passed. He pitched the ball. Jeff Smith came out, got outside of me, so I fault myself for him allowing him to break my contain and score a touchdown. So I was really upset about that. I felt like I allowed us to be in a situation where we could lose the game as opposed to 4th and 8 and just making a stop. So, felt real bad about that. And we moved on to the next play and said a prayer, asked God for help, and he was there.
So, yeah, well, every great defensive back has to have a short memory, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You have to just forget about it. I mean, any position, but especially when you're out there one-on-one a lot of times, you got to have a short break. So then you've got the play, obviously. That's obviously an important play. Actually, somebody on Facebook, when I mentioned that you were coming on the show, Dawn Hannah, she had mentioned, let me pull up this article. She had mentioned that the 100 greatest plays, I don't know if you ever saw that article, but 100,
I'm not sure.
I guess it was in the, I guess sports, let's see. Let's see, Sport Nation did it. Miami won its first national championship. 100 greatest plays in Miami history. Number 1 play in all of Miami history was none
Let's
other
go.
than the number 2. Your number was 2, right? Kenny Calhoun.
That's it.
And there were
That's
a lot of great plays in Miami history.
Yes.
So let's we don't win that, who knows what happens, right?
Right.
Miami could just go. We may not win any championship. So take us through that. So take us through that play.
Okay, so we had to stop them. We did practice 55 double dog trio, which we never used throughout the year, but we put it in and we practiced that for that game for this particular play, and we did practice over that. So it was kind of like, hey, if we get in a position, this is a play we're going to call for this formation. We made the call with 55 double dog trio. 55 is the line, what they should do responsibilities. The double dog is for the linebackers to blitz and to put pressure on the quarterback. And the trio call is for the safeties and the secondary. So we were locked on the man, but the trio call allowed the free safety and me, the strong safety, to switch responsibilities. So, which was Jeff Smith and Irvin Fryer. Smith was the bat. He was the number 3 receiver, how we, ran our defense. He became the number 2 receiver based on like a little pick play from Irvin Fryer coming in and picking off the safety. So, he became our responsibility, and you practice some things and you just react to a play, and that's pretty much what it was. You saw I saw the pressure on Turner Gill, and he looked my way, and that's all I needed to get upfield.
So so basically you got yourself in the position to obviously make the play and get somewhere in between the ball and the receiver.
Yeah, so I give the coaches credit for putting us in a play that could defend the play that they were running. So, I thank God, first, and then, the coaches put us in a position, and I was able to make a play. You make a play, and it helps if you make a play.
Absolutely. So when did you realize that the play was a success? Because even though you were diving, correct? You were diving. You got the hand on it to knock it to deflect it enough that he couldn't catch the ball. At what point in time you realized right when it happened, did you realize he wasn't going to catch it, or you turned around and you said these miracles can happen for them as well. They're praying also. Right. So you realized at that time that they don't make the play, the game is yours. And what are you feeling at that time?
So the time of the play, I really got. I felt the ball. It was a solid hit, because my fingers were so, straight out. So I felt the pressure, and I knew the pressure that I felt on the ball was enough to change the path of the ball. So I felt real strongly about that. And also, as I saw later, the positioning of the back coming out of the backfield, he was really, not steady. So any changing of the ball would, aid to, us defending that play. We had 48 seconds after that. I was feeling really, really good. Listening to the crowd after the play, with players coming on the field, the fans were electric. It was like, wow, that was a big play, right? But the game wasn't over. 48 seconds, onside kick attempt, and we recovered that. So we still needed to wait, I believe, a couple of days before the announcement that we were national champions based on the coaches poll and the AP poll. So it was a couple of days. Hey, we felt really good because we had a what do you call a signature win, and it's just a great feeling.
No, I'm sure. People don't talk about the onside kick that could have gone either way as well.
Right.
You get stopped. I always remember Bernie saying that if they score, what happens if they score? Bernie says, we're going to go right down the field and score a touchdown. We're not going to be stopped. There's no doubt in my mind. And he did it the next year against the Gators pretty much. He drove the Gators. I think they played in Tampa. He drove them right down the field. So,
absolutely.
So a couple of days later, the national champions. It probably takes a little while to sink in. Like here, I went to this team. You didn't expect, your second year to be national championships, of course. I mean, Miami was lucky to be a top 20 team at that time. So Brett, shocked the world.
Well, you go thinking those things. You want to win championships, and Miami had a schedule that puts you in other conferences playing against really good talent, really good teams. So that was like a barometer of where we needed to be. So you play these good teams around the United States, and you feel how they play, and then you have to step up your game to a certain level. And the coaches knew that. They could see our mistakes and what we needed to do, and they made those corrections.
Awesome. So great coaching. So you win the national championship. You had a parade, correct? Had to feel amazing. Probably felt like probably nothing you've ever been, obviously, before or since been a part of.
That's true.
So Coach Schnellenberger decides to leave. When do you find that out?
Wow. Too soon anyway, It was heartbreaking to hear that, to know that, your head coach was leaving after such a victory, a national championship. But, I understood all of it, it was an empty feeling, but, we had the cowboy up and, just go out and do your best.
Absolutely. So we got a question, I think it was from Victor. If Coach, now obviously the Canes went on to be pretty good under Jimmy, who you play, we'll just cover that in a minute,
right.
and Jimmy and Derek Erickson and Butch Davis. But how do you feel? I mean, if Coach Schnellenberger doesn't leave there, he could be like a 30-year guy. He could be like some of the legends that have been there, that have been at teams for. How do you think he would have fared if he would have stayed at Miami?
I think he would have fared really well. The recruiting was phenomenal, and that wasn't going to stop. It continued. So Coach Schnellenberger would have continued to win. He knew how to train his players, to condition his players physically and mentally to be able to, make plays.
Mm-hmm. So I've spoken to the coach. I know he had a great career afterwards, did a lot of great things at Louisville. He coached at Oklahoma. He obviously at FAU, where he got the stadium and everything like that. But I think deep down he thinks probably if I would have stayed at Miami. So
yeah.
So you guys come in the next year, national champions. It's obviously you're feeling pretty good. Coach Johnson comes in. Did you have a decent relationship with him?
Oh, absolutely. Coach Johnson was a good coach. He hadn't become great at that time. He's a great coach now, Hall of Fame coach. Respected him and his coaching ability. we wanted to win for Coach too. He was a Cane, so he had a great mind, and it took time for him to put it together. It was a lot of transition coming in, players, coaches, and a transition is a difficult time for football teams. The University of Miami know that more than any team in the state. How coaches come and go, and how tough it is to maintain that level of play.
Absolutely. So that game I mentioned against the Gators, I think was that in Orlando, not in Tampa, correct? That was in Orlando.
It was Tampa.
It was Tampa. Okay, so
right.
And actually, I went to the school up there at that time in Tampa, but it was there. So that was obviously a great win as well.
Yeah, I got a game ball. I got a game ball for that game.
Awesome.
Yeah, I had five really big plays in that game, and I believe this was the second ESPN game, but it was their first night game televised.
Really?
ESPN
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's like a little trivia question.
I did not know that. First night game for ESPN. I was at that game, and Bernie brought you guys back, and you had a game ball. I didn't even know that. That's phenomenal. So that was obviously you were a lot of Gator fans that you knew, so that was a great, you wanted to, after revenge, well, we won the national championship, which is the best thing you can do. We still wanted to avenge that Gator defeat.
Oh, yeah, you always want to beat the Gator.
So, and that year was going pretty well. I mean, and then we hit that little snag where we had, the 5-game losing streak at the end.
Yeah, I got hurt, missed 4 games. I came back, the Boston College game, played in the Maryland game, and both of those games are deal breakers.
Mm-hmm.
We were in position to win both at some time in the game, and just didn't do the things that we needed to do as a offense, defense to get that business handled.
Yeah, the Maryland game, I think we were up at 31-3 at halftime or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good number.
And the Boston College game, for those, were you on the field for the play? That play?
I was on the field.
That's the Doug, for those of you that don't remember, that's the Doug Flutie play, right? To Gerard Fallon. He just, that play will live in infamy for the Canes. But luckily, it wasn't a game that cost us anything big, except for it was a great play for them. It wasn't like you're losing a national championship or something like that. So
or just a higher bowl,
Absolutely, yeah. So that game was a tough. I think we played UCLA or so in the bowl game, another game. I mean, that was just a tough season for Jimmy.
Yeah.
So that was your last year. Or you
that was it.
That was it. So
that was last year.
So you got there. So your experience at Miami overall, what do you remember most about it?
Well, I grew up. You know what I mean? It was tough. It was hard. But you stick in there. You go to class. The end result. You win a championship. You get your degree, and those are the things you should do in college. And I accomplished that at the University of Miami. And my mom, she just wanted me to get a degree, so I got her, I graduated, and she was tickled with that. And it was just a fantastic time to be playing football at the University of Miami.
That's awesome. Did you ever think when you left that they would have the success they did in the 80s and go into the early 90s?
I did, because of the athletes that were coming in. Each class you could physically see, was better than the previous class coming in. So if you're winning championships with, classes prior to the ones that you see and coming in, and it's just, if you see that, you know they're going to win and continue to win, because the athletes are better than the ones that they're playing with right now.
Absolutely. Is there any good stories? I think it was Tampa Canes that asked any stories, special stories that the average person wouldn't know about for the time you were there, behind the scenes, that you wanted to divulge?
No, I don't think it's really any stories. It's just, it was a lot of hard work, and that's on the field and off the field. So it had a lot of fun, but it was tough. It was tough going through school, hitting the books, going to class, and playing football at the University of Miami. It was fun winning, but you still had to work. So, it was just a grind. It was a grind.
Absolutely. Here's an important question from none other than Derek. Okay. And by the way, I saw Ethan saying hello. We wanted to say hello
Hey,
to you.
Ethan. All right. Hey, Dirk.
Derek wants to know if you do you like pineapple on your pizza?
Yeah, I do like pineapple on my pizza. Thanks for asking.
All right, I do as well. Outside of playing football, when you went to Miami, what were any special moments, any favorite moments that you had about the U?
Wow, no, I mean, just the whole experience, the Rathskeller, that was always a fun time. Um, the city of Miami is phenomenal. Oh my goodness, it was such a good time in the city of Miami, on campus, off campus. It was really love from the University of Miami and the fans and the city. So it was a ball.
Awesome. Does anybody? How many people ask you? Obviously, people don't recognize you, correct? I mean, I don't think it's. Does anyone recognize you on the street? I mean, there's some
Nah,
people I know that have. My son Garrett's friend Phil Griever always knows different players. He'll recognize anybody from anyone in the last 30 years. But do you go ahead and does anybody recognize you?
no,
I
they don't
mean,
recognize me.
you got a helmet on. It was a different story in those days and everything like that. But
Right.
I remember when Derek actually met. He said, "Yeah, so who's in my store a lot?" He says, "Kenny." I said, "Kenny Calhoun," and that's when we had you in the store to do the autograph session.
Yeah, I
Uh,
appreciate that. Thank you for that.
no worries. We appreciate you, Kenny, for all you did for Miami. You went ahead and after school, did you have any thoughts of going any further with football, or you were pretty much done?
Yeah, I did actually. I signed as a free agent with Tampa Bay, and so they waived me during camp. I needed like 6 credits to graduate, so I put in asked Jimmy if he would allow me to come back and be a graduate assistant,
Mm-hmm.
and he did that, and I was able to coach that '85 team. Um, to the Fiesta Bowl and able to get my degree. So yeah, it was a good time. I really wanted to play at the next level, but got washed out.
That was the Tampa Bay of the Leroy Selman days and Ricky Bell and John McKay. Was that them?
Yeah, it wasn't Ricky Bell at the time. It was James Wilder.
That's
Hugh
right. James
Green.
Wilder.
Yeah, he paid $400,000 to go play with the Dolphins at that time. They had a lot of talent there. A lot of talent. Steve DeBerg.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what's his name? Steve Young,
That's
uh,
right.
came there, and I was a victim of wearing, number 15, and he came in and got 15. So I was like, wow, that was a bad thing to do. Pick that
And
number.
he didn't even, did he give you anything for it?
Not a thing, man.
Oh,
Not a
well, look
thing.
at that.
Yeah.
That's when these players, I thought they have won a number. They go ahead and have to give something, a car or something like that.
Yeah, it was his. He was good. They were gonna give him whatever he wanted. They didn't,
Absolutely.
they let the quarterback go. So it was, it wasn't a good place to be, but it was close to home, and
Mm-hmm.
that was my decision.
Awesome. I understand that. So, one of our Facebook friends, Noah Green, mentioned that you were while you were at Miami, you were living with a nice family, correct?
Yeah, is that in Kendall?
In Kendall, exactly.
Yeah, it was the Bursons, Fred, Susan, Kelly, Alan. It was a good experience. Sharing with the family. They came to games, and they opened up their house, and we really had some good times there.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome to know. That's appreciate good people. What did you do after school, Kenny? You got your degree. Did your degree help you after school?
Yeah, it helps. As far as getting a job, maybe not so much, but to have it, it helped out. With some other incentives. It allowed you to go and get your master's. I got my degree at the University of Miami in business management and organization.
Awesome.
And then, having that, I was able to get my master's from, the Polk County Sheriff's Office, who I made a career like 29 years with after graduating. So that's what happened after that.
Awesome. That's good stuff. So what are you doing now?
I'm working with Lennar Homes in Orlando, the Orlando division. Brock Nicholas is the division president, and Darren McMurray is the division president over there in Southwest Florida, Naples area over there. He was a teammate of mine, and he's doing really well. Yeah, so I'm here in Orlando division, Lennar, as the area manager.
Awesome. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. Great company, Lennar.
Oh yeah.
All right. So it's any advice? Well, actually, one question we just got is how would you compare, like Trajan Bandy, cornerback coming into the NFL, or other players there? How would you compare the cornerbacks? Anyone that you see that's most like you, that's playing for the Canes, or that when you see them, that you think, okay, this guy looks a little like me, or this guy's got some special talent?
You know, I really hadn't looked at it that way. You know, I know we had some players that hit really hard. I wanted to do the same. You know, Rohan Marley, he hit really well. There's Basil Proctor, he was a big safety there. But as far as comparing me to the other safeties, I really didn't. You know, if you make plays, then you're good. And, you know, I don't like the players that don't make plays.
Absolutely, absolutely. And how do you feel about the Canes? You go to the games sometimes, right?
Yes, right.
You're still a big fan. I know
Absolutely.
some players I talk to, they really haven't been to the games, but I know you are a big fan. How do you feel about, you excited about Manny and everything that he's been doing?
I am
this year
excited
with all
about
the
Manny.
new people he's brought in?
Yeah, you know, you have to make change. If something's not working, you know, they look to the head coach to make change, to make it better. So he's done things to better the situation. You know, he's put together what he feels that's going to help us get to where we need to be and not have these collapses. And I support him. I support him 100%. He's my head coach. He's the head coach of the University of Miami football team, and I have no reason not to back him.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Any players that you're still close to? I know we had that signing, the Monroe brothers. We're friends with you. Others, any players that you're especially close with?
Yeah, I still talk to Rodney Bellinger, Eddie Williams, Reggie Sutton. He lives relatively close. Gary Bird, John Ungum, Danny Stubbs, Willie Smith, Darrell Oliver. You know, all the guys, Julio Cortez. You know, we stay in contact. You know, I mean, we're still a family, so we make the calls during the holidays, birthdays, and share some love.
Well, that's awesome. Well, that's obviously